Monty,
My brother.
good to have you on, man.
Hey,
Wow.
thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
This isn't like a uncommon thing between us because I feel like we are talking all the time, but I'm very glad to be here with you now. I feel like we haven't caught up in a long time too,
Yeah,
like probably
yeah.
a few weeks in person, but
Yeah, it has been.
um tell tell the people a little bit about yourself, man.
Nah, thank you again for having me though, bro. Super excited about the podcast. Glad everything's off to a phenomenal start as well. So I appreciate you taking the time to even want to hear from your boy, you know? I
Of
appreciate you,
course.
bro.
Of course.
Um, Man, I guess to tell the people about me, I work with a lot of different people. I love helping bring ideas together into reality and help people make money from their art and know all the ins and outs about it. So that's just in a nutshell, kind of what I do in that respect. And then outside of work side, it's just get to have fun, travel, enjoy life as much as possible, and truly work hard to have a work life balance, which is forever a process. But yeah, just bringing ideas to reality. I feel like that's just been my main focus.
That's beautiful. And that's exactly what you do. It's like very poignant. Um
Thank you,
uh
bro.
I feel like I was thinking a lot about this because I'm talking to a friend who has like is very right brain and um it had me thinking like they were saying like, oh, I'm not creative in any way, but when you think about it, there's so many different ways you can cut down and boil down creativity,
one Hundred
and it
percent.
doesn't necessarily need to be like behind a paintbrush or um, writing music. It could take form and take shape in kind of anything. And I feel like I do feel like you are an artistic person at heart and in your DNA. But my experience working with you, you've been able to apply the business in a very highly creative way that I feel like I don't meet a lot of folks with that mindset. So I feel like you're like a really special case, and just some brief background on our history together. Like, I first met you through the selection stuff, um, and then we became pretty fast friends.
Yeah,
And at the time, I was kind of looking for a manager, and and we just aligned really well, and we've been working together for since like 2016, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah.
So that's we didn't get to that at the top of this episode, but that's just the background. Like Monty is beyond uh, a manager in my mind, and I believe you don't even like that term manager because it's
Yeah, not
it's
at all.
it's so it's so
it's
beyond.
it's not what I do.
Yeah,
So
but it feels like a business partner and
yeah.
someone who like really has your best interest from a different angle beyond the art
Yeah,
itself. And
yeah.
I feel really fortunate to have crossed paths with you, man, because you really changed a huge. Uh, you came into my life at an insanely timed thing, which is kind of how life goes sometimes. But um, yeah, I have so much praise for you, and you already know this. I
Man.
feel like I tell you this like every other time, but it's really special, man. You're not only like working with me, but you're working with like amazing artists, like around the world,
Mm.
and really bringing people together. So this is a really special episode for me because it's just someone that I feel like is really contributing to the music industry in a positive manner. And yeah, a lot of people have a lot of respect for you, and yeah, so it's all love, man, all love.
Hey, you know it's always love, bro. Nah, I appreciate. Dang, crazy intro. Nah, thank you, bro. Like, I really appreciate you. And first off, like, I'm just grateful just to be able to work with you, bro. Watch your growth. watch how you morph as a creative as well, and also, showcase more of your art. Shout out to finding out your books of different drawings and things that you were doing on that perspective. So, nah, man. Again, I'm just grateful, bro. Seriously.
Word,
You know.
word. No, man. There's a few things I wanna kind of dive into. Um,
Yeah.
I want to kind of first start off with you and your background coming into music, because
Mm,
I think you came up in during your path. It was more like the blog era, the SoundCloud era,
yeah.
I
100%.
believe, and you were
Yeah.
heavily involved in like the straight raw love for music, and from that angle, can you kind of give us a little background on that stuff growing up?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, I guess I kind of had my quote unquote start and just diving and into everything. I feel like was again around the blog era for sure. I created my first blog, music blog. I feel like it was back in maybe uh 2000. Dang, already feel old saying it, but yeah, just probably like 2000, maybe 10 or something like that. Yeah, just kind of kicked off just a website, just highlighting different artists, and from that I kind of came across a ton of people on Bandcamp or on SoundCloud and things like that. And for me, it was always about showcasing different artists. So I came across Kyle early on. His first name was like KID, and just came across him on Bandcamp and his music videos and things like that. And so many different people, obviously even yourself on Bandcamp. So I remember writing about you and things like that. So it's crazy to see and observe it from a fan, honestly. From a fan, and then diving more into things later on. But just as a fan of music, it was just truly just an incredible opportunity just to showcase different people, because it was dope and something cool to do at the time. And just showcasing people who weren't necessarily getting the spotlight. So that's been my experience diving in on that side of things. I would say, I've had family members of mine who've worked in the music industry, and they were, one of my uncles has been, very popular in the 90s. And from his music industry experience, I've been able to learn quite a bit. Even though I wasn't technically interested in music at the time, like to work on behind the scenes, but I observed a lot, and we would always talk about so many different things. But yeah, I would say, yeah, like the music blog experience really taught me so much, especially on the technical side of things, like websites, to be honest. And then yeah, that kind of morphed into also me diving into music myself, and I got to kind of experience that. Making music using either GarageBand or Logic, and then that's how I learned how to use Pro Tools. And from that experience and building a band with me and my friends, and from that experience, I realized I was also low key putting pieces together for the band. Like, oh, we need to distribute this way. We need to do this. We need to put it up here. We need to make sure everything is super clean, very, on brand, everything. So it's crazy because all these different factors came, play out now. You know what I mean? So it's really, really funny that how life works that way. You have no idea. You're just like, oh, I just need to do this. So it's organized. That was always my thing. It just needs to be organized. So,
Yeah, man.
um, but yeah,
That's
that's in
that
a nutshell
that's
that initial start.
stayed true. It stayed true to you, that organization element, which I think is crucial for an artist's business, because it could get real sloppy real quick.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
the more you're ahead of that, the better off you are in the long run. And I think that applies beyond music. I think it's
Mm,
kind of in life. But
yeah.
but yeah, you've been very adamant about that since I've known you. Um, it's super interesting because like starting the blog, it does it's interesting as like an early on stage of you, like, because you've always been kind of A&Ring low key, and
Mm-hmm.
finding people and taking interest and watching them grow. Like, you've exposed me to a lot of artists so early on. I think Thames was one of them,
Mm-hmm.
before she started doing what she's doing. And like, shoot, Baby Rose, another one.
Word.
Cleo Soul
Word.
was you're mad early on that. Um, so what to you, like, when you hear an artist, like, what are the things, like the criteria, or like the pieces of the music, or even the branding, that stand out to you? Like, what attracts you
Mm.
at, at that
Man,
stage?
Great question. No one's ever, yeah, never been asked a question like that. Hmm. Uh, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like I don't necessarily think about branding actually in the beginning at all. I truly just think about just the music, and just if it grabs me in the first 3 seconds, honestly, it doesn't take long for me like, ooh,
Hmm.
this is it, or this, oh, this person, this is different. You know what I mean? It doesn't take that long. Um, but yeah, like for me, it's uh, I mean, just the artist, just truly hearing, what they're creating, what they're trying to share, their storytelling ability, writing ability, vocals. A lot of people can sing, but it's just like someone's approach to a song or how they write a song or different things like that really, really, really grab my attention. Um, which is why even so many different people I've had a chance to kind of come across really early in that perspective, or even just sound wise, even just on the production tip, right? It's just like, ooh, they approach this production very different than everyone else, and how they build out a structure, or there's even no structure. But yeah, for me, it doesn't necessarily take too long, but I feel like just them just being honest, with how they create, and not necessarily it's for anybody in a way. It's not trying to make a hit or trying to grab everyone's attention. You're truly just creating to create, and I feel like you can really feel that with certain records really early on. Especially when there's not a lot of people on you and not a lot of pressure from other people, expectations that some people can kind of add to themselves, even though in a way that's irrelevant, but to a degree. But yeah, so for me, it's just like that's, I don't know. There's something about finding people really, really early when it's just pure in a way. Like no one's touched this at all. It's just it truly, again, it goes back to just having fun. People just having fun and showcasing. I guess themselves having fun. Yeah.
Man, it's yeah. There's a lot. I feel like that we've kind of over the years have kind of these themes that are reoccurring, and
Mm,
one of those is that phrase, just having fun with it, and
yeah.
using what you have around you,
Oh
and
yeah.
we've I- especially me, like you know me, and like there's waves of realization that occurs as an artist too, like where there's you kind of just have what you need around you from the get go, but then you kind of lose track and lose focus. I'm speaking for myself. I don't know if everybody goes through this, but you've really helped shepherd that growth
Mm,
with me personally, and I think a lot of that has to do with your experience working with other artists in a lot of
mm-hmm.
different capacities. Like you might not be managing somebody, but you're working with actively currently with like really um, renowned artists from around the globe. So like you're able to, a little slice of benefit of that
Mm-hmm.
selfishly from me is like you get to see how other teams operate and how
100%.
other artists like operate. So it kind of like trickles down, to our relationship and like in making the best decision for the future. And that was a little bit of a tangent. It just there's certain words
No,
that
like I'm
pop
with you.
out that yeah.
No, no. I mean, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, especially observing. Like, again, I feel like I'm just very grateful, and I feel like blessed to be able to work with so many different people, um, and just get different perspectives and how people operate. And that's been a whole interesting thing on the consulting side as a whole, or whatever, like agency. I don't know. I need to figure that out. But like, that's been a growing thing of just like, hey, can I get your input? And like, what do you think about this? Or can you help me package this? Or help me market this or whatever. So that's been a really interesting, lane and sector that just taught me so much. Because even when some people may do or have a format of certain things, it's like, ooh, nah, I'm gonna flip it, and this is how we're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Just like,
Hmm.
I'm just gonna tweak it a little bit, make it a little bit more, even more organized to a degree, but just so we
Yeah.
can really make it make sense. Um, but I think there's also just the beauty of everyone. It's just like the same thing, like creating art, right? People collaborate with each other. For me, I just do that more so on the back end, honestly, and
Mhm.
kind of have fun with that.
Yeah. 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 It's very very clear, uh, too, watching it from my perspective. let's go back a little bit. So
Yeah.
you're in the blog era phase. You're a music aficionado, kind of A&Ring with no um end goal. I'd assume
Mm,
like you just
yeah.
are passionately like uh about the music.
Yeah. And I would say also to add to that, like about the community. So I hopped around on different blogs. So there was my first blog in like 2010, and then I kind of revitalized that into a different one called Visual Vibes that I built out with one of my teammates, Sonia, at the time, and that's what we also started to do different interviews and would interview different artists. So that's how I came across like L Train really early on, or like DP really early
Mm-hmm.
on, even before we started working later, together later on. But just like so many different people that I just felt like should be highlighted. And I was just doing Google Hangouts on air because that was the time you could link it up to YouTube, and no one was really doing that. But it was just a cool way to interview different artists and highlight them live, and people could communicate and whatever. But so yeah, from doing that and then also organizing different community events. So like for example, I wanted to turn Visual Vibes different campaigns into like a way to raise money for nonprofits, like all creative nonprofits and charities. So we would organize different things like maybe two packs, like a two-pack song type of thing, and those songs, all the proceeds would go to this nonprofit or charity. So for me, it was like, oh, how do you streamline this? This is before splits or anything, right? So for me, it was
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh, okay, cool. All the proceeds from Gumroad at the time would just be sent to this nonprofit. Like, cool. Give me you guys, if you guys are open to this, just give me your PayPal. All the money is 100% going to you, and also getting artists involved to just get kind of give back in a way. So it was a really really dope time period and era just to kind of explore, learn that, know what it's like reaching out to nonprofits, as long as like to reach out to different artists to even get them involved in that type of project as well. So it was a really really dope time period and era, just having fun with that.
Right. Yeah, that's dope. I don't think I didn't know that
Yeah,
part.
yeah,
That's cool. That's super
yeah. I
cool.
gotta send you the link.
Um, yeah, please.
Yeah, I got you.
um, and what at what point you eventually came across Selection, which was
Yeah,
also a community that was building quite rapidly at the time.
yeah.
Can you kind of dive into your like role in that kind of like era of their growth and like where you came in
Yeah,
as a
absolutely.
part?
So initially, I came across them again as a fan. Like obviously me digging into different artists and being A&R. Came across Selection a few times. So it was like, oh, who's Evil Needle? Who's this? Like, you know what I mean? And actually, I think it was you. Like, coming across you and writing a blog about you is kind of what led me down that rabbit hole. Believe it or not, so that's kind of crazy actually because I didn't even think about
Whoa,
that. So
whoa.
yeah, so yeah, thanks to you. Shout out. So. Yeah, that's how I initially connected with them, and again, they're just super dope. I had no idea what they were about or anything at first. I was like, oh, just the branding, the aesthetic, they're on it. You know what I mean? And everybody's sound was like, oh, this is fire. This is different. Um, and I connected with them initially, trying to link up again. My uncle earlier on, just linking him up with Selection and all obviously all the producers, because I was like, no one has the sound, but you
Hmm.
could do very well with this sound, and it'd be phenomenal because everyone's already remixing your songs. So it's just like, yo, might as well. You know what I mean? It's just like, yo, it's a
Right.
very easy win-win for everybody. So yeah, that's how we initially connected, and I connected with Joe, and yeah, we kind of, we just kind of had conversations, just trying to link up my uncle, and then me and Joe just built our own relationship as well at the time, and um, yeah, they need help with the website, and that's kind of how I got involved with that. Just helping out with that. It's like, cool, I guess give you guys some pointers and how this could be built out or whatever. And then literally as I was wrapping that up, Joe was like, "Oh, here's your email." He's like, "I definitely want to have you involved." I was like, "Oh, dope! Like, cool! Like, that was literally my introduction. So it was just as simple as that. And then I met Andre when him and Lakim did a show in DC really early on. Then I met Kai for the first time in his one, I think it was like his first show in DC. So it was really, really early, or Sengo, sorry,
Hmm.
really, really early for everybody, and just the kind of the growth. So for me, it was just trying to make sure people could easily, visit Selection, understand it, and just easily at the time just download the music. You know what I mean? Like no different questions, just easily get to the page, download, and just connect. Make it very simple and seamless. So really care about the interaction and those details. But
Right.
yeah, so that's how I initially got connected, and then over time, my role started to morph. So it was helping with the websites down to then eventually over time just more of the marketing. So shout out to everyone taking the risk, but I was like organizing at the time, like early days of Instagram. It was photography meets and things like that. So organizing our very first photography meet, which is also how I came across Jack McCain. You know what I mean? Very early on, because he was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I think he had like a cart. He had like one of his homie had like a cart with like a speaker in it, and like yeah, I remember him just organizing on that. And again, that was like very very early on. Um, Again, for me, it was just trying to create different things to bring the community together. Because I'm like, yo, this is dope that we're building something online or via SoundCloud, but like outside of shows, what can we do to connect with people outside of like, yo, just pay us money? You know what I mean? Like, how can we really
Mm-hmm.
just connect? So yeah, that was one way we kind of did that, and then we. As with the first experiment, one post brought up 300 people the first time, and then we ended up taking that on tour, our first U.S. tour. So it was a really really dope experience, building out those different ideas on the marketing side. And again, just timing I think is very critical to everything, right? The timing for Instagram, the timing for us to maximize on that, timing of SoundCloud, obviously, we were able to really morph that. And then over time I got it more involved in the business side, and just like, oh, things should be a little bit more organized on the records side of the business, and how things operate and how people are paid and how things go about. So like one of the very first partnerships I lined up was with STEM. So that ended up working out very well. So, everyone's paid every month because of splits. And that was very early on. Shout out to my homie Straith from BitTorrent at the time, who connected me over there. So, because I was complaining to her, like, yo, I wish there was a company that does splits. And she was like, oh, there's actually somebody working on that. And I was like, intro me, please. Like, that'd be dope. That literally sparked so much, because now that's become somewhat of like the standard in a way, right? Like, people are just like, wait, do you have splits, or are you using STEM? So it just alleviates a lot of different stress when it comes to payout structures. But anyway, um, yeah, that whole era truly changed so much, in just learning. But I will just say, just timing with everything has truly helped so much. Even like early as Shopify, right? We had an early deal with
Mm.
Shopify at the time, and it's like, think about how big Shopify is now. So it's just crazy. We were able to do so much, and just also pay attention to the transition of SoundCloud into Spotify and all of that side of things. So it was a really really phenomenal learning experience. That's why I always call it Selection University. I feel like we all did that, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. We've
Mm-hmm.
all learned
Mm-hmm.
so much, together and as a business, and how to grow a business, and whatnot. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely a phenomenal experience.
I almost visualize, like you going from, you're kind of like doing this stuff from a certain level and like a certain like place of influence, like with your personal blogs, but then
Yeah,
kind of getting tossed into this like larger community, which is kind of built a following that was also like in a crazy trajectory, like
hundred
naturally, and
percent.
like having so much momentum, like it does. I feel like that university phrase, I feel like, is very accurate for a lot of folks involved um
100%.
at that time. And what a beautiful thing, man. What a really like, I think for speaking to you, um in your experience, like going that those kind of steps that you've taken, I think are like um such a magical like series of events,
Oh,
like so
100%.
serendipitous and like yeah.
100%. Like, again, I feel like I'm just gonna bore everybody, but I just keep saying grateful, just because it's like the timing. Like, I didn't plan that. Selection introduced me to everyone I know now. And it's helped me to figure out exactly what I want to do with my life. So
Yeah.
I'm extremely grateful for all of that. Introduce you to my wife. So it's just like, yo,
Hmm.
I can't. I'm just grateful. There's nothing else I can really say.
Right,
Everything
right,
happens for a reason. So it was phenomenal.
right.
Um,
what
and
what were some what were some like aspects, like what do you think for those that are like, because the time is always now for these things to happen. It's not
mm,
like things just stop. Everything is kind of evolving. There's
of
probably
course.
new collectives of really amazing artists. I mean, there are
A
all
hundred
all
percent.
around the
Yeah, yeah,
world.
yeah. Hundred
But
percent.
like, what would you give? Like, do you have any kind of like particular advice for someone in your, you know, in the phase early on, like to where they can kind of keep in consideration, or like keeping their mind open for doing things, uh maybe not getting a shit ton of money up front, and like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, like
Yeah,
how,
no, no,
because
for
you
sure.
you approached it from like a place of love, and I think that's that's most likely what helped the momentum carry through.
Oh, for sure.
um but yeah, was there a certain mentality that you had at the time? Like, were you naive? Like,
I mean,
like
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I feel like we all were though, because we were just building
right.
something. Everyone was just coming together and building something. Like I wasn't in LA the entire time period. I actually, went to school out in LA before I joined selection. It was when I moved back to Virginia is when I technically joined selection and was contributing to it. So, yeah, which is again, it's just crazy. But yeah, I was
So
doing
crazy.
all of that from Virginia, which is where I learned, oh, you can do all this remotely. Doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So it's like there was that. Now, obviously, just catching up with everybody and everything like that is phenomenal. Meeting in person always just you come up with different ideas and stuff very quickly. Like I never forget, like me and Dre coming up with a selection fit on our drive. I think we was like driving to the airport in New York, and I was just like, oh man, what if we did something like this? Like, oh word, like selection fit, like oh word, let's try it. You know what I mean? So I guess go back to your earlier question, like, um, I think it's just certain things sure take time, but it just takes action more than anything else. It's just if you have an idea, just do it even if you don't know if it's going to work out, even whatever, just do it, just try it. Um, include people that are open minded, um, that you trust, and who are also hungry. You know, which is very difficult to find all of that, but it's that's very important because everyone can attack it from different angles collectively, which is obviously the whole point of collective, right? Everyone's contributing in different ways, so I feel like everyone, kind of covering their different bases or special areas, if you will.
Hmm.
um, it can really help grow something incredible,
Hmm.
so yeah, I definitely learned the benefit of that, and the power of having a team. It can be extremely, extremely, beneficial and helpful for everyone as a whole. You know, so yeah, that's what I would say for now. Yeah.
With there's also something I think that is really important about you, and I feel like all of these experiences kind of have led you to this mentality of like kind of doing everything yourself, and not really having to lean on, say, like a label or a publishing deal, or
Mm.
and like really focusing on the art. Like, from your standpoint, like which artists have you like worked with that you've seen that play out and like have success in that way, in terms of like their own creative freedom and success in, you know in all those kind of non-monetary ways.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I feel like obviously with yourself, like you know what I mean. I feel like everyone's just kind of definitely grown and done their thing. Uh, okay, I guess. Okay, if we're talking like really early times, I would say like early days of like Sonder, for example, I think was a very interesting kickoff, right? Because it's like they had the series of different EPs and us organizing everything, and we just dropped all the music, um, but also making it very simple for everyone just to consume it. There was no download link, there was no give me your email. You could just easily download it. That's when I figured out how to set up some servers. You know what I mean, without having to go through a MediaFire or Dropbox. None of all that's relevant. It's just like, yo, let people just get to the music right away. But then also the packaging inside, for me, it's like those small details matter at the time because everyone was downloading. So it's like
Mm.
the packaging and when it would look like on iTunes, and just like, oh, it's super clean, super, pristine. But that just helps the longevity of bringing awareness to an artist longevity wise. Like, oh, I can always go back to that project because, like, oh, I know this was the early days of like Sonder or what have you, and kind of helping out in that standpoint. And then, um, I'm still trying to remember every detail of your question, to be honest.
Yeah. No, no, no.
But
Like indie, like going
yo, yeah,
hard with the
yeah.
indie
So
stuff.
it's Yeah, I mean, when it comes to listen, at the end of the day, it's like every like so for us, I feel like we came from the SoundCloud time. I know some people don't like the time SoundCloud era, but that's really what it was. All right, like everyone started off from that time period, and we everyone was able to upload music, get 50,000 to 100,000 streams in a day. Like that's revolutionary. Now we know how hard that is now in reality, but everyone was getting that, not even thinking about it. You know what I mean? It was just what it was. But everyone had the opportunity to connect with people, but to scale that takes a lot of different infrastructure, you know what I mean, and transitioning from just like, oh, we're just uploading records to actually we're going to take this on tour, or you know what I mean, like, or this is how we're going to flip this side of things, or we're going to package that into an album, which again, things were before streaming, so people were still downloading. And also distribution was really really difficult at the time when you think about it, right? There was no DistroKid, there was none of that. You just had to go through another middle person to then distribute your records and then wait on statements. So much has changed over the years, which has made it significantly easier for independent artists to scale their awareness and their business from either using social media and then also understanding the business side and knowing how to reinvest and also register your music, you know? So everyone can really capitalize and earn every dollar that they deserve without necessarily having to go to a label. Now it's like there's different time periods on all those different points, but you know, now it's just significantly easier for people to kind of scale. It's just more so the knowledge, of where to collect every dollar and then how to actually do it. You know what I mean? So, and where to spend your money, right? Like so many people spend money like for, my biggest pet peeve is music videos, low key, because it's like, yo, think about it. Music videos were created for television. That was the whole point initially, right? It was to put them up on TV so then I can also help market a record or a song. And you know what I mean? Like that's what it was. And again, there's nothing wrong with it to a degree, but it's just like really make sure it's worth the money and really make sure that you're willing to share a piece of art essentially that you're not worried about not making money from it. So I think it just truly needs to depend on what the goal is. In my opinion, I feel like more indie artists could benefit, uh just depending on what level that they're at, but just benefit just making more people aware of their music through digital marketing or some things like that, versus throwing 5K or 10K in a brand new music video and no one knows who you are. How are you going to get people
Mm-hmm.
to it then? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We don't live in a blog era anymore. Can't just try to hit people up and be like, hey, post me. That doesn't really do much anymore. So, has to be either like a moment or just make people aware, which is how I feel about, music as a whole, as you already know how I feel about music as a whole. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no time period to music. We're still marketing records that are old now that we figured out the system. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
there's no time period. You can still market hit records today because you own the catalog, number one. But then also, like, yo, someone new in the world discovering your music today. You know what I mean? It only costs like $20. You know what I mean? It doesn't cost anything crazy. Like, as much as
Right.
people assume you got to drop, oh, I need thousands of dollars to invest in music. No, you don't. Just hustle and reinvest. That's it. So, um, so yeah, I mean, that's how we've kicked off a lot of different projects, recently. But even for myself, I've had to learn that. Like taking a step back, I feel like in 2019 and like towards the end of the year, which is crazy. But towards the end of that year, I kind of took a step back to kind of just fully, learn the music industry as a whole. Now, obviously, I've learned a lot to that point, but just taking the time to build out, infrastructure that I've always wanted for myself that I can also help, help you guys also stay organized. Um, so yeah, for me, it was just learning, observing, but then applying it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, yeah, I know that was definitely probably a very long tangent, but just like, yeah, just kind of my view on that, I
No, it's
guess.
beautiful. It's crucial because like back to like how we operated, like how we've operated together as business partners, and you kind of like really leading the charge in like the organization for me as an independent artist. um you kind of also helped rein in, like taking away the shiny objects from my peripherals. So like there was a point where I was like so adamant about producing for uh such and such, or
Mm.
this X, Y, and Z, where you really saw the the potential to just do everything myself. and
Mm.
and I think that was like a really powerful thing that I just hope people can take away from this, and I hope they do, is that you kind of have everything you need. You don't need to rely on uh this certain thing that you think you need in the music space, or whatever industry you're in, like whether whatever it is. And you really, I just am so thankful that you kind of entered in that way, and were so. There's times where I was frustrated, man, with you, like where I was like, no, I just want to release music, but you're like, hey, let's think about this a little bit, like. And that was the first time where I was like challenged because prior to you, I was just releasing a lot of music,
Mhm.
and like whenever I wanted on a whim, I would create the artwork, I would record and master and mix everything, and then it out, like it would be out there, but there was no like strategy to it. And I'm not. We've also dialed back in and out of like being very intentional and strategical versus like on a whim, and like
Yeah,
having that
it's a balance
freedom.
of
So
both. Yeah,
yeah, and it changes, like even
100%.
hearing, like the statement about the music videos, like being
Mm.
heavier and more prominent in a TV era. Like
Mm.
we're not, no one's really watching TV at the
Yeah,
moment, and like
everyone's on
and
YouTube,
yeah,
but
it's YouTube,
yeah, but
and it's digital.
yeah, exactly,
And
exactly.
yeah, so things are always changing, and I feel like that's also a really important thing to remember too, when um just creating stuff, is like the formats are always changing, and I think
Mm.
people do, they roll with it as it comes, but the more you can kind of like think ahead too, I think is important, which I feel like you're constantly, you A&R music, but you're also A&Ring the landscape
Yeah,
too, like with what technology is out there, and like, and I
100%,
and that's super crucial. I think um for any business, really, like to understand what's coming too. um
100%. I think that's
and
it's,
and
it's really important.
yeah, shout out to STEM too, because um I think that's one element. Like when you're talking about, like DSPs, I remember that era of going through the middleman, like CD Baby, I think was one of
Mm-hmm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
and
There's so
it was
many
like almost,
so many other
yeah,
ones. Like, you know what I mean? They're just
right,
there, just like, damn, we gotta go through y'all.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was like I didn't know. I was so confused about how you even get music from my laptop to Spotify
Mm.
at a certain
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. It was
Like
foreign back then.
yeah,
Like it really was like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Which again, I'm sure people would laugh about that now, right? Because it's so
right,
simple. But it
right.
wasn't back then. But yeah, I mean, and also one thing to your earlier point though as well, it's like on the YouTube front, uh, the way I view it, just in a nutshell, just for people listening, is just like I'm not saying music videos are bad. For me, it's just like don't blow all your budget on a music video and then you can't even let people know the music video exists. That's all. You feel me? Because then it's just like that's cool. You have a video up, but then no one knows about it. That's all. Just
Mhm.
make sure you
Mhm.
actually put in the budget a marketing budget so people can just
Mhm.
find out about the video. That's all. Um, yeah,
What
that's
are
all I'll
what
say.
are some what are some, because you kind of touched on it a little bit, like streams of revenue, or places
Ooh,
that are overlooked for artists that they might not be fully aware of at first, because we all know about the PROs like BMI, ASCAP,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
we have like, we can turn on monetization on platforms,
yep.
but where like there are like missing pieces that not a lot of folks are fully aware of.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, because that's unfortunately how the music industry is built. It's built on so many different organizations and everything spread out. So most people can't necessarily do it independently. But if you know where exactly where to register and how to collect everything, you'll be fine. So yeah, I mean, it's I guess for me, there's so many different aspects of making money within music. Again, like I said, like in 2019, like the end of 2019, I really want to take time to just follow because I feel like I never had time to fully learn every detail of just music by itself, just music. And just like, oh, how do you collect every dollar? Everyone knows DistroKid revenue, as you said, like the PRO ad revenue, but obviously there's Sound Exchange, which more US artists are familiar with, right? Sound Exchange is how everyone makes money from internet radio or Pandora or Sirius XM. All of that revenue is from Sound Exchange. So most US artists know about that. In the UK, it's considered PRS, right? Wait, is it PRS? Or is it PPL? Nope, I think it's PPL. Sorry. It's PPL is technically the UK version of Sound Exchange to a degree. And then it gets even deeper of things called neighboring rights, which are essentially royalties on the sound recording. So you know how we make money on PRO, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
technically, composition side that's paid out when your music's played at stores. They don't necessarily pay out sound recording, believe it or not, at certain stores in the US. At least I believe that's correct. But like in other countries, they do. So in other countries, they pay out certain royalties based on the sound recording and obviously the composition. So anyway, there's essentially just a lot of money that are in a lot of other countries. But if you do not register on neighboring rights or are familiar with, even like I've even made graphs on like which territories collect the most and which organizations collect the most money in different territories and what have you. Just because I'm such a nerd about that side of things, I'm just like, oh, well, how does it work? Who makes money? Like if you don't, for example, like it's legal and I don't know how. I'm hoping one day I can figure something out about this in the court maybe, but like Sound Exchange, pays out labels the black box money, aka money that's accumulated over like a 3 or 5 year period. But if they don't know who to pay out, they give them money away, which to me is just like, yo, that's somebody else's money. You know what I mean? Who are you? Who gives you the right to give it away? Now I understand that like, oh, we can't just have it sitting here or what have you, but it's just like, yo, that's somebody else's money though. Just have it sit there. Very simple. You don't got to spend it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's like those type of things exist, and they will continue to exist, especially as more and more, now there's more artists uploading music more than ever. But most of the time, they're not educated on that revenue that's waiting for them, from the same song. That one song that somebody may have like a million TikToks on or streams or whatever, there's a lot more money waiting for you. Rather it's on Sound Exchange or even publishing gets a whole deeper thing, but just like
Mm-hmm.
outside of registering on ASCAP and BMI, as a writer, there's obviously the publishing share on that revenue as well. That's still money. You know what I mean? There's even certain revenue that's not fully paid out, just to writers. It's fully paid out to publishers. So it's just like having a publishing entity or system that we use, shout out Song Trust, that
Mm-hmm.
helps everybody just collect that revenue, makes things a lot easier. So it's a very very different time period because none of this existed years ago, right? Again, the uncle I was referring to earlier, me and him have had certain conversations, and it's like he's still learning different aspects, and he's aware of his music business to a degree, but just like we've had to really dig into the nitty gritty of like, oh, where's his revenue from publishing? Where is everything? How much is left on his contracts on the sound recording? Um, but again, systems like STEM and the way in which we do business is just very different. So, everyone we work with is taken care of, unlike, as we know, traditional music industry stuff, right? It's not necessarily, not everyone's in a rush to pay producers or to make sure they're taken care of, which I think is one of the reasons why it was beneficial for us to focus on ourselves. So we're not waiting around for people that don't care about us. What's the point of that? You know what I mean? What
Mm-hmm.
are we getting out of
Mm-hmm.
this relationship? They're just like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But yo, can you send me the stems? You know what I mean? They don't care about you until it's time to send the stems. Then like, oh yeah, we gotta do whatever we gotta do, and like you just sign this over or just agree to these terms. And you see me, I
Mm-hmm.
do everything
Mm-hmm.
with a smile, but it's like, yo,
That
don't try to play my
yeah.
people. You know what I mean? That's all I ask. That's all. Just
Yeah.
respect.
That's that was my next question, and I feel like
Mm,
this is a nerve toucher right here.
mm.
But the importance of doing good business.
Yeah.
What's
It's
what does good business mean to you?
Man, well, number one, what I've learned, everyone has different definitions of good business,
Mm-hmm.
which to, again, I try my best not to be upset or read too much into it because some people are honestly they were just taught the wrong way. That's it, or taught just a different way. So what I will say is every record is different, right? So it's like, and how it's being distributed is different. So everything should, account for that as well. So if someone's going to release on a major label, and obviously there's a ton of money and everything going behind it and what have you, okay, I'm already going into it with the mindset that it's probably going to be the traditional, we're going to pay you the advance, we're going to pay you a low percentage, and, you know, like a few points, quote unquote, and obviously whatever publishing is, whatever publishing is. You know what I mean? Like publishing, by the way, should always be based on who did what. That is it. That is all. It's if like so it's like, yo, if you did not do anything to a record, you are not getting a percentage on publishing. Doesn't fucking matter if you're a big superstar artist. If you did not write on the record, you should not be getting a percentage on the publishing at all. So obviously, if you're in sound recording, you sing it, yeah, you get a percent of the sound recording. It's fair, but you should not be getting publishing because a lot of writers don't make enough money as they should. Just in general. But anyway, on the business side of things, it's just like you got to know your different angles. If it's the homie that's distributing and they're just using DistroKid, it's like cool. If no one's putting money behind it, cool. That can be split very equally, very fairly. No one's doing much behind it. If someone's putting extra work and having a team behind it and working that record, the percentages do need to be different. Because it's like, again, I've seen it so many different ways. I've seen people try to do, hey, instead of, it should still be 50-50, but it's like, but are you going to market this record? Like, are you putting money behind the music video? Are you doing all these different things? No. Why is it being 50-50? Technically, we're doing most of the work, and then you're going to get 50% sitting at home chilling, not thinking about any of the work that we're doing. And again, it's no one's fault. So for me, it's just like, hey, it just needs to be broken down fairly so everyone's aware of the work that's being involved, right? Like, you know how I am when it comes to records. So it's just like, and, as I'm trying to elaborate to everyone else right now, it's just like, I believe, again, music has no time limit. So moving forward for everyone's catalog, we're marketing every day. You know what I mean? Like it's not just, oh, we've marketed the new release for 3 months and like that's it. We did good. Good job, everybody. No. Like, there's certain strategies I'm running right now that's marketing every single day. There's someone new discovering certain songs. And that should be the case, to be honest. Especially for, I would say, predominantly independent artists. You can essentially print your own money. That's all I'm trying to say. If you let more people know your music exists, that's it. It's very simple. So if you keep educating, because again, that's why I always feel like I'm in the business of education, educating artists on how the business operate, and then educating people on being aware of artists. It's just education all around. So, yeah, I would say yeah, I would just wrap it up like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and they don't make it really easy to be educated in
Oh,
this.
for sure. Like it's meant to be, unfortunately, like what can I get you don't get? You know what I mean? Like how can I take advantage of if you know more than I do? It becomes a knowledge battle. Which again, you know me, I love being very quiet and just observant in like the beginning, and just seeing how someone will operate. And then I'll be like, oh, these numbers are off, or you know what I mean, just like, oh, this is this is wrong. You know what I mean? You're not going to tell us that you're gonna, if you produced a record and it's only you, no one's going to tell us like, oh, we're going to give you 20% on publishing and we're going to give you this and that. No, it should be mutually agreed. Don't tell us like what you just given us. Like, let's figure it
Right,
out, if it needs to be figured out, or if it's like, oh, this is all fair, if that's truly
right,
the work that was put in, then that would be
right.
fair. But again, it's just, that's all I'm essentially just trying to ask for on the business side, is just be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's also being observant to different ways in which people release, rather it's a major label release, rather it's
Mm-hmm.
an independent release with support, or just the homies just uploading something. I feel like it's really
Mm-hmm.
broken down in those three different tiers, in my opinion. And like very simple, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's go post when you graduated from Selection University.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, where were you at mentally? Where were you at goal wise? What was the plan?
Man. Um, a lot of ideas. Like for me, I think it was also taking a beat just for myself, just taking a moment. Because I've always been working on, I invest myself heavily into something that I'm involved in, and, so it's just like I just needed a moment just for myself, and that's all actually when I started to, you know, build out a lot of different systems because I had time to do it. So I just built out different systems and ways in which I'd like to keep everything just organized and just systems for ourselves and upcoming releases and what have you. And also at the time, consulting was like a whole growing thing. Like a lot of people were building different products and things and just wanting my input. So that was very fascinating and again, very grateful. So everyone's like, "Oh, I'll pay you to give us input and to see what you think." And like, cool. Like I'm super down to do that. You need to mess because
I,
for me, I come like
I
a
think
tech.
it's cool.
Yeah, exactly. No, this needs to change. This UI experience is horrible. Like this needs to be simple.
Mm.
Or again, even if it was on the music side, like, this could how certain things could be packaged, or this is how it should be rolled out, or just providing feedback and input as a whole. But kind of having that time to take a step back, learn, learn even more, observe, but then also just act. 'Cause so it's like also around that time period, I was organizing that subtle retreat at the time, right? Just organizing that, wanted to bring everyone together, um, which obviously ended up, I always wanted to create something to kind of bring everyone together. So that also led me to, fully building out, obviously, with yourself and the whole squad, like play nice, and building that out and just kind of like our own take of different things. And then just attaching just the animation side. I've always wanted to create like a gorillas type of thing, that. So it's like
Hmm.
I've been super gassed, like cool, we can really like play around with this some more. So yeah, man, I feel like it was really just diving in full force into everyone's careers and really building out the infrastructure just long term. So it just took me
Mm-hmm.
a long time to figure out and plan out just a system foundation and then also figuring out how to scale it. That's
Hmm.
why for me it's just been I've been very thankfully everyone I work with is kind of everyone's kind of a homebody, so no one's really pressed about shows. Obviously no one could even do shows, believe it or not, around obviously around that time, but no one's really pressed about it. But it's just like that gave me time to really perfect and learn the music side, honestly. So it worked in everyone's benefit. But
Mm.
now that we kind of have that foundation solid, it's like cool. Now we can expand in merchandise and all these different other elements and just like figure out a system for that, how to automate it. And even now that's been the case even for me building out the team, and slowly building out the team for Subtle. So like that's been um, a whole task and a learning process as well, just finding the right
Break,
people. So,
break down what subtle is,
mm.
in case. Yeah.
so yeah, in a nutshell, Subtle is essentially the team behind artists. That's pretty much it. So, the way I view it is, I'm helping everyone, as you know, I'm helping everyone grow and develop and build out their own business. Subtle is essentially the operations behind it. That's it. Really coming in with the experience, the knowledge, and the infrastructure to scale it and build it out and make sure everything is clean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you guys are all the CEO of your ships. I'm just helping y'all navigate. You know what I mean? Just like, hey, where you want to go? Cool, you want to go here?
Yep.
Cool, let's go this way. You know what I mean? These are some
Yep.
different ideas I have that we can map it out. We can go this way, there, or that way.
Yep.
So that's just how I. It's just subtle for me. It was just something behind the scenes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because me, I'm a very low key person, and but that's how it should be. It should be helping artists build infrastructure.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah. That was that I think that was the first kind of uh experience with you after you left selection was kind of getting. I didn't have any like business foundation. I didn't have like an LLC. I didn't have any of that, and we
Hmm.
we we really like over time kind of just built that foundation solid. And I'm so thankful that we put in that investment into that and prioritizing that.
100%.
Yeah, because it goes a long way, and like um yeah, just where all the money goes, or
Yep.
where like the business side just feels so, I think, mature
Yeah.
for when I look back like the past 10 years, like I didn't know what the fuck was happening, what was going on. But now I just it feels completed and growing, and like so it's really dope. I want to let's talk about Play Nice. a little
Word.
bit.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
You
let's
know what I
talk about
mean?
play nice, cause we had that subtle retreat, which at the time I believe that was like
It was
2018,
2019. Yeah, that was. Yeah,
2019,
yeah, yeah.
and we went to the Valley in LA,
Hmm.
and we were at very special studios. Shout out to Jabba.
Shout
Um,
out.
uh, we had Xylo there, Najee. Oh my gosh,
Esta,
Malia,
Devin
Devin
Tracy,
Tracy. Yeah,
Austin
Austin
Brown.
Brown from Pablo Brown.
Facts.
Um, big squad there.
Facts.
Damn, I know I'm leaving out D Lily. Um,
Cam Obi.
yeah, Cam Ovi. A lot of producers, a lot of artists, a lot of singers. Um, and we just had like 2 days there, and we just
Yeah,
like cranked out ideas, and we got two different rooms. It was so fun, super fun.
yeah.
Little did we know that that was kind of like the pre play nice. Like it was play nice. I don't think was in the equation at the moment. Like for
Well, just
us,
the
at least.
name. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I couldn't figure out the name, but I was
yeah,
plotting. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So yeah,
And then the pandemic rolled around,
yeah.
and um, I think 2020. I was just thinking about it today. I was just playing Brent Faiyaz the album with like what's your name? I'm just trying to get my paper back. I
Yeah,
forget
yeah, yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
the album is called, but I saw that it was 2020. I was like, oh damn, that was a great year because
That was a great year.
for music for sure, and
100%.
also for personal development. I think a lot of people went through it.
For sure.
We probably all are feeling the repercussions of that
For
to some
sure.
extent now, um that's the era where we were stuck inside, and
100%.
no pun intended. um and you picked up your phone. Yeah, these are all stupid jokes. They're titles of the tracks from the album, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
speak
mean,
on that,
yeah,
speak on
no,
that.
for sure, for sure. I mean, honestly, it's like it definitely came together. I feel like you gave it the biggest kick, honestly, because you're like, yo, should we, like, because, I remember mentioning it to you, like, yo, I want to, like, let's organize, bring everyone together, because, like, with those from the records from last year, and obviously, like, let's bring everyone together. And you were like, yo, let's, like, do it, like, right now. And I was like, all right, like, word, let's do it right now. Like, so it's like, you definitely gave it that boost. And then it was just like, we created obviously the Instagram, just Instagram chat from that started off with that. And then like everyone started adding different people and then, like that was the whole thing. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. These are some just, everyone was at home and it just kind of gave everyone opportunity just to kind of do something with their time. Like everyone was able to just kind of create. And it was just so pure because everyone was just having fun in every way, right? Because it's just like, as everyone was having fun creatively, y'all know me, I was having fun strategy wise. So I was like, oh, word, we can roll it out like, Good Friday.
Hmm.
So every Wednesday, you know what I mean? Like we just drop it every week. And then it's like, oh, since everyone's at home, let's give everyone else something to do as well. Like let's drop the stems and like let everyone, or the acapellas, and let everyone just make their own remixes and things like that as well. And just get the whole community involved. And that had such a phenomenal impact on just like, I feel like for all of us, it was like a phenomenal, you know, output and just release for everybody. And then even for the community, everyone obviously enjoyed the music, but then was able to just add to it as well. You know what I mean? Especially for all the musicians that were aware of it and stuff at the time. So, yeah, I feel like we just kicked it off and got everything started without overthinking everything. I feel like for me, it was just like,
Yeah.
cool, let's just. Now, again, obviously thinking back, it's like, oh, cool, we could have definitely spaced out certain things, but it worked out
Hmm.
how it was supposed to. There was really no issues about that at all. To be honest, it worked out exactly how
Yeah.
it needed to. So,
There's
yeah.
something in like in that collective format too that's so exciting. Like I remember, you know, usually when a song is released and it's not yours, you're like not excited. Like it's not your track,
Yeah,
if you have
facts.
nothing to do with it.
You're
But
like, yeah,
like
it's cool.
yeah,
I
yeah,
did
but
this.
like even all the tracks that I personally wasn't involved with, like
Mm-mm.
musically, I was just like so excited to share. Like it was a really honest moment remote moment with a lot of different artists, and I know Carla was recording on her phone.
Yeah.
Zyla was recording on her phone,
Yeah,
and you
Tay
know
was
we
in
had
Nigeria, and we had to
yeah
wait.
it
He
was
had to wait till the internet was like 1 in the morning to send us files because the internet was like
right.
a little messed up. So it was just like, yeah, it was a process, you know. But everyone, I will say, it was just beautiful though, because everyone. I also think that's also a very key thing though too is everyone coming together and everyone's personality because again, I'm grateful for everybody also who connected and everything because not everyone's met each other in person. You know, everyone. I think the only person everyone knows at the time was myself. So it was just dope that everyone was still like down just to kind of connect and everything that way. But it just came out super beautiful, you know. And obviously, you know, there's some things on season two. But anyway, it's just like it's 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 been such a phenomenal experience, honestly, just bringing everyone together and having fun with it. Because even with Play Nice, it also gave me the opportunity to learn a lot more. Same way I learned the infrastructure on the music side, I was able just to kind of dabble a little bit on the digital marketing side and take the time just to learn it all. So like, you know, I've been able to properly learn, you know, marketing on Instagram, YouTube, Google, uh, Snapchat, TikTok, all of them on the ad systems, and just see how beneficial and how effective they could be to make people aware, you know? And again, by the way, everybody who is listening, just like, yo, we weren't spending too much money because I was just like, all right, cool, let me spread it out. So that was my whole strategy, was just longevity.
Hmm.
So even after the release came out, I was like, cool, I'm gonna throw a few hundred here and there or whatnot, just test out different things. And then everyone started to see the results in the data. I'm just
Hmm.
like, oh,
Hmm.
what, you know, there was a random spike here, and it's like, oh shit, like this thing is working, like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I was like, oh, let me keep doing this, let me keep growing. Um, Even to this day, I'm still marketing certain Play Nice records, and it's like it's still growing. People are still discovering Play Nice for the very first time today from the first project. So, and
Right.
obviously that's in preparation for the new ones. But because I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
might as well build the followers and stuff now, you know. But there's no time limit to it, so it was
I think
yeah,
it's important to also highlight too that it was like a brand new project. Like there,
yeah.
we
There was
started
no
from
yeah
literally nothing.
from
So
scratch, zero
like
everything.
yeah, for
No
it
playlist support on Spotify, by the way.
right,
Shout out to Apple
right.
though. Shout out to Apple. Give
Yeah.
Apple that shout out. Like
A
they
lot
be
of
showing
love
us
on
love.
Apple.
Shout out to love. I love Apple.
That was yeah, that was that it's crazy how much can happen from just a Instagram chat
100%.
DM thing,
100%.
and and it grew, and we did get more organized. And shout out to Najee for mastering the whole thing.
100% shout out
Like
to
we had,
Naj.
yeah,
I
we
know
had
it's
all the
very
pieces.
tedious, but he made it work.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, there's just like a lot of and shout out to J Rob too. Like every all the
Facts.
pieces like kind of
Yeah.
fell so beautifully together, and yeah, there's just like we had one of the records was like on a porn video. We had some like interview
Yeah.
stuff from like an international,
Yeah.
uh, all from nothing, man. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. It was beautiful.
Just
And then we
all in
had
the
like a
moment.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah exactly. Um yeah, that was a good a great. It was very reminiscent of early music making days
Mm.
where it just felt natural and it was fun, and like the music felt good, the vibe was good with everybody. Everybody was, you know, on the same page, and like it was also around that time too. And I just want to tell this story real quick because I think it pertains to the now a little bit,
Mm.
like
Mm.
with where I'm at. But you came over to my apartment in LA.
Yeah.
A few I want to say
It was the end of September, early October. Like I remember. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So you came out there, you stayed with. No, you're staying with your cousin. But I remember pulling down this box. I was like, "Hey, I got these boxes of drawings that I've just carried these boxes of drawings my entire life. I have stuff from when I was like 2 years, not 2 years old, like like second grade. So
Facts.
like there's lots of things. There's like Calvin and Hobbes, like you know, StarCraft characters that I
Yeah.
was like redrawing, and I pull this thing down, and you're looking through it, and you're like, oh shit, this is crazy. I had no idea that you could draw, and
Yo.
and in my mind, I was like, this is I've been doing this for like a long time. I just stopped, and you were the person. Like, I just want to publicly thank you for re-sparking that love for drawing and getting my imagination to paper again, because you're the single most. I think if we didn't have that conversation, and you didn't like fully make me like realize um those things, I wouldn't I'd be a different person right now, for sure.
Sh- I
um
mean, but hold on. Real, not to cut you off, but like, bro, your artwork is incredible. You know what I mean? Like, listen, folks. And obviously, I know sharing this on audio is probably not enough, but like, he needs to do something about just showcasing his archives, because he has books of so many different art styles and so many different characters. Like, oh my gosh, the character design is phenomenal. And it's just like, I'm like, wait, I had no idea you can like, now not just some like, stick figure drawing. Like, yo, you're creating like art, like for real, and characters and backgrounds and all these different type of details. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I had no idea at all. So it's like, that's why I was like, yo, in no way, shape, or form do people need to see this. Like, what? Like, you can't just let this just go. Just, oh yeah, something I did back in the day. No way, bro. So that's why, yeah, I had to be on
it
you
was
about
funny.
that. Yeah, because I was like, oh
Yeah,
nah. So yeah, every artwork, yeah, you know what I mean. That's how that gonna be, very easy.
yeah.
And but no, I think
Exactly.
it was honestly a great kickoff. Obviously you getting involved and obviously doing all the artwork for all the Play Nice. That was phenomenal practice. But even again, just for yourself, just to have that outlet and just have fun, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
But it also gave you that boost to realize, yo, you know,
Yeah.
you've been knowing how to do it. You just, what I mean, sometimes you just you just need to see it.
That, that
You
that's
always
the
had it.
thing. That's the thing earlier that I was trying to like get across, was like you have everything you need, and
Yeah,
like for me in this case, it was that, like,
yeah.
I didn't, before that I was like, oh, I should get this photographer, I should pay this
Mm-hmm.
other person to do this thing, that, which in some cases is the move,
Oh,
but
100%.
I think when you fully kind of like, and it takes time to realize your power,
Yeah,
so to speak,
yeah.
and that was a pivotal moment, because that right there was like, I couldn't get you to shut up about everything for like
Couldn't let it go.
15 minutes.
I couldn't let it go.
Yeah, no,
'Cause it was, it
no,
was, it was, it was. Oh, bro, like,
and Monty gets passionate when Monty is gassed about something. Monty's gas. It's like you need him to, like, you need the gas to run out from the fuel tank. There's nothing you could do about it.
nah, I'm
And
not gonna let it go.
yeah, it was like, that was the moment where like the art was applied, and
Yeah,
like fast forward to now, it's like I can't imagine not doing that, and not thinking about those things, because yeah, the art was like, before my passion for music, it was drawing and creating, and so you really unlocked that for me, bro, and I think I can't thank you enough, and it was like a pivotal moment, and that was kind of when my girl was pregnant, and I was kind of like in a place of like I don't, just figuring stuff out, in
mm-hmm,
terms of like the direction of like where I wanted to go as an
mm-hmm.
as an artist, and I think this was like kind of that piece that I think was missing at the moment, and it led me down a beautiful path. So
Oh, 100%.
um
100. I mean,
yeah,
but
man,
listen, man. Thank yourself. Like, bro, you killed it. Like, you're a phenomenal artist. Like, I just appreciate you sharing the art with me at that time. Because I remember, I think it like fell
it was
or something. Like,
random.
yeah, it was super random because like fell. I think it was like, oh, one of the notebooks fell out or something. You're like, oh, I'm just putting this all stuff away. Like, you just went through old stuff, and it was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
this? This is just crazy. Like, what is?
Yeah,
You did this? You didn't do this. Who did
yeah.
this? And I was like,
Yeah,
oh
take
man,
pictures and
it
shit.
took me a second. I was taking pictures and everything on my phone. I couldn't believe it. I was sharing it with everybody. Like, yo, did you know? Did y'all know he could do this?
Oh
Nobody knew.
man.
But nah, man, it's just, hey man, kudos to you, bro. Honestly, because it's also
Oh man.
just you've been creating since, even doing artwork for other people now as well. You know,
Mhm.
so it's just, and
Mhm.
that's just been a phenomenal outlet, even just for yourself outside of music. And I think that's
Yeah,
also
man.
important for everybody to just, as much as obviously we work in music and things like that, and it is also fun as well. It's also good to have other outlets, in general. Like for me, it's photography, right? Just have fun.
For sure.
Obviously, I don't post
Crazy
everything.
photography.
I don't post
Oh,
everything, but it's just like, just like in the moment, it's just fun, So it's just like for me,
yeah.
it's everybody has their different things. But yo,
You know,
again, shout out to you.
yeah, and man, like that's a good. I was thinking about like what success was, and I was like, usually I have these like existential thoughts in the shower. It's like a lot of the
Mm-mm-mm.
times, like a lot of times of like I don't know what it is.
I'm with you. It happens
But
to me as well. It's something
yeah,
about the shower, just
yeah,
ideas or just like life and just
yeah,
it just I don't know why.
right.
Maybe just because
It's
we're
like
stuck with ourselves. I don't know.
yeah, it's like that. It's like we're getting baptized every day, you know?
Yo, legit. No
um,
facts though.
yeah. Wash clean. There's a
Literally.
thought I was having like about success and what that means, and
Mm,
I think in this society it's very monetary based and
of course.
capitalistic, and then you can also go to the opposite end where it's like happiness is success and
Mm,
da da da. I was thinking about it and I just feel like sharing it because I don't know why, but I think there's to live a life, at least for me, this is a personal thing coming
mm,
from a person who like you know has bills to pay and like is a human being.
mm,
um I think success in my mind is like being able to um translate your imagination into the physical world and uh not only make a living from it but like affect people in a certain way, and I think it's that
100% agree.
specific, the success is like that translation. It's not necessarily like the repercussion of it, but
Yeah,
it's that like mm, uh ability to like translate ideas
hundred
in
percent.
in a special way. And I think you know there's many things I'm sure that we've both done in our lives where we're like, yeah, like not a lot of people could say the same thing, like traveling the world or like
Mm-mm-mm. For
you
sure.
know like those things that we kind of take for granted and
For
that we
sure.
kind of we compare. There's levels to it.
Of
Like
course.
there's the folks that are on private jets all the time, or there's like the folks that play their first show in their hometown, and
Yep.
like
100%.
these are all milestones,
A hundred
depending
percent.
on the perspective. But like I could say that if we were to stop today, I feel like I could say that I had a successful career
Damn.
in
That's
in
rough.
art. And
Yeah.
but there's that thing that's always and it's not I'm not stopping now. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah. I mean, yeah, no, not at
but
all.
but
We still
like
got,
but it
yeah.
yeah. But it's like it's like it's just interesting that like perspective of success, like what
Mm,
that means, and like where what it means to you in certain points of your life too, because like
a hundred
there's
percent.
also the 2010 Monty who launched his first blog
Yeah.
with and got like 25 people to get to come
Yeah, no,
get
a hundred
traffic,
percent, a hundred
yeah.
percent. No, like, yeah, like I mean, yo, yeah, you summarized that incredibly. Like I would say I agree with that 100%. That is the definition of success, and it's like, it's crazy because like recently I had a trip to travel overseas, and I was able to experience Switzerland for the first time, and like I felt that, like, because for me, it's like, oh man, like I am so grateful and blessed, like to be here, and I'm like, just like to be here from America, from where I'm from in Virginia, just like, you know what I mean, to still do what I love and everything, and it's like I'm being re-inspired at a whole new place. Shout out to Switzerland for giving me that type of experience. I've never experienced a place like that ever before in my life, So it's just
It
like,
looked beautiful.
oh man, like it just to experience that and just like I complete and for me it's like yo I'm just grateful that's really the only word I can say about anything like for every opportunity even
Mhm.
things like anything that happens is just I'm grateful because we were all able to learn in every experience to grow in different experiences and to do what we love you know what I mean and it's like yo to do what we love and for that to happen to also make you money as well is like yo there's like it's crazy like you know what I mean when you think about it it's really crazy like yo I get to wake up and do this. Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone has those days like, damn, this shit's annoying. You know what I mean? Like, damn,
Yeah.
this is kind of annoying. You know what I mean? Dang, I got to do this. I got a whole to do list. It happens. But at the end of
Mhm.
the day, it's like, yo, we're able to make it work. And then
Mhm.
again, like, I implore anyone, especially in the US, 'cause I feel like other countries already got that unlocked. Please get a passport. It's very important for us to travel and get different perspectives about life as a whole, especially work-life balance. I think that's something I've had to learn, and my wife has been constantly teaching me of having a proper balance because it's like, you know, we come from the states, like it's just hustle, like that's all you got to do every single way. You got to always work on something else. Like no one knows how many other different things I have going on at all times, but there's a lot. But it's just like to take a moment and just reflect. It is I'm just grateful to even just be where I am today,
Yeah.
and also even for me, I can also pinpoint certain people and certain things that led me to where exactly where I am today, and it's just crazy because I had no control over any of that.
Mhm.
I had no control.
Mhm.
It was just things came along the way, and I had the choice to either move forward or not. You know, so it's just again, I'm just very very grateful. But nah, man, I feel like again, obviously, as you said as well, there's still a lot more that I obviously want to share and present. And I just want to make, the music industry as simple as possible for artists as a whole. Like that's just a goal of mine personally. Um, so, going to be doing
What
that, you know?
what ways in your mind? I know we talked about like the it being harder to be educated, but like in your mind, what are like the main kind of like pillars of the challenges or ways that you'd want to change the music industry?
Well, some of them, it's not like none of this is going to happen overnight because obviously the
Mhm.
industry is used to running a certain way for, years, decades. So it's like can't just change that quickly. Um, but for me, it's just one project at a time, one iteration at a time on different ideas, rather it's education ideas or different tech ideas, me. So for me, it's just like
Mhm.
I observe how everything operates. You know what I mean? So I'm familiar and then I also pay attention to it. And that's the same way I built out our own infrastructure. It's platforms that I built out myself. So for me, it's like eventually I want to scale that and just, give that to other people, give them the opportunity to do it. So when someone uploads their music, it's not just obviously, yes, cool, you can use DistroKid and everything like that, but you can always keep everything organized across the board as well. So I just want to be able to provide that type of service to artists, and their teams, like even upcoming teams, and just like educate different teams. Like, oh, there's technically three different type of ways of releasing music, for example, right? And just making sure
Mhm.
people are aware of how to do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it's like between that and then also just by living it. You know what I mean? Like us just doing good business with people and also showing what happens. Because like for me, even when I think about Play Nice, it's like I didn't want to tell you guys, like, hey, we should just market and throw this amount of money in here and there. Why would I tell you to do any of that if I haven't done it myself? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, let me
Mhm.
take a moment, learn this, because Play Nice is kind of like a guinea pig. So I was like, cool, let me actually do this. But it wasn't just me that y'all also were like, wait a minute, let's talk about this marketing because everyone started to see the results from Play Nice data. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
everyone's like,
Mhm.
oh, what you doing is working, and it's like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's important to also just live by example. Um, versus just talking. It's just like, oh, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what we're doing. We're just doing it. You know what I mean? And everyone just
Mhm.
sees the aftermath of it all. Um,
Right.
yeah. So.
That's a good theme, and it kind of goes back to kind of that thought around you know when you are an artist independent, like just doing consistently, like releasing music consistently and
Yeah.
having a consistency from the quality side, and also just like uh, like a consistency in the branding. I guess too.
Yeah, as best as
Um,
anybody could do it, you know, because
right.
not everybody is good at it initially, but
Yeah.
it's like obviously at the end of the day for music, just make the best music possible. That can be
Yeah.
your marketing and your branding. You know what I mean? To kick everything off. And then over time
Mm-hmm.
you can figure out all the other pieces and all the other elements that you want to add to it or make it your own. Whoa,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah.
um sorry. But but uh but yeah, like I mean that's one thing that my approach is very different than I feel a lot of other teams. Um because I don't force everyone to do what everybody else is doing exactly how they're
Mm-hmm.
doing it. Um I feel like everyone can grow truly at their own particular pace and exactly how they want to do it. If you don't want to do a full blown tour, you don't have to. We can do select shows in certain places where there's key people. Now, obviously, will that be more? It could be more cost effective, obviously, with a tour. But if that's what it is, because it's better for someone's mental well being, we're going to do it that way. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? No one needs to sacrifice themselves just to appease other people or other, you know what I mean? Other goals that other people may have, like, oh, you should be doing this, you should
Right.
be doing that. But yo, if
Right.
you don't want to do it, you don't have to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, it's just like you don't got to do that. You know, so it's just like this whole industry and how people move, you can really make it your own in every way. It's just having patience with yourself and managing your expectations for sure. But just be diligent, you know, with yourself and with your art.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
And you're working a lot with a mix of producers, like directly, I guess, under the subtle umbrella, like
yeah,
with yeah, pretty much like vocalists slash producers.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but then you're also consulting with other teams of
yeah,
other artists.
100%.
Um, are there kind of like what's kind of the vibe you get from outside the subtle camp, that like, are there any like consistencies in terms of like challenges that those teams are facing, or
Mm,
because I know that there's some that kind of are at a little bit of a larger scale from their business and their brand and their artistry,
mm-hmm,
in terms of reach as well.
mm-hmm.
um it, are you seeing like very similar challenges, or are they, when you get to that level, are the challenges a little different or bigger or smaller, or
I feel like everyone's case is obviously it still is different to a degree. I would say the only thing I can think of is it's very difficult for everyone to keep that hunger when you're comfortable, you know?
mm,
So when you're making a certain amount of money and everything it looks great, feels great, and is great at the time, it's very easy to be like, oh, like I'm like it's very easy to lose that hunger that you have with just like still sharing, still releasing, or whatever it may be. Just creating, even as a whole, you know. Um, so it's just like I've definitely noticed that and can observe that from top down, from different type of artists or even different type of companies, to believe it or not.
mm-hmm,
So it's
mm-hmm,
just like it's just like everyone has to keep that same hunger, which is very difficult to do when things are
yeah,
going well. But it's just like you got to have this type of passion and vision and just challenge. I feel like it should be always be like a new challenge in a way, you know, which
mm-hmm,
I feel like can also help people constantly stay hungry and things like that. So yeah, I feel like don't ever get too comfortable. I think that's the biggest thing, but also it just expand on different ideas. Obviously, again, because we work in music, it does not mean everything has to be music at all. You know, there's other ways of different art, obviously, especially in your case, right? Like, bro, you gonna make furniture one, you know what I mean? You already have been making furniture, but it's just like, yo, that's a whole other sector. That's nothing, you know what I mean? Not everybody even knows about that, but now they do.
right,
But not
right,
everybody knows
right,
about that, you know what I mean? But it's just like there's so many different avenues that people can explore. And to be honest, so many people forget that the greats have already done it. You know what I mean? Especially people who've been able to flip the music into
mm-hmm,
other avenues that they want to do. Everyone's
mm-hmm,
seen Jay-Z's rise into really doing business stuff, and same thing with Diddy. Obviously, same thing with Rihanna, right, with her and her clothing business. So it's just like a lot of people have definitely flipped music as quote unquote their marketing to
Yeah.
doing something else or doing what they really wanted to do. You know, I mean, shoot, even look at LL Cool J really diving into acting. You know what I mean? Like it's a very real thing. You know, actually, I think technically it's the same thing with Will, right? Technically the same
Mhm.
thing. But
Mhm.
anyway, it's
Mhm.
just like, yo, people can just transition into other things, um, and as everyone should, because everyone's going to constantly morph into other things. But I think it's still to even explore those type of avenues, you still got to be hungry. You know,
Yeah.
you can't expect everyone to give you an acting role because you've done certain things in music. Who cares? You still got to be
Mhm.
hungry. You got to work hard to get all those type of roles. You got to start from the bottom. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just like, and not, yeah, and also just not feeling like you're above other people. I think there's also humility is a big thing.
Right.
But life has a way of, life teaches people humility all the time. That's not for anybody. And,
Mhm.
like, I'm not going to tell somebody, you're like, yo, life going to teach you. You know what I mean? I don't need to tell you nothing about that. Life just has its way of doing, life just has a way of just doing that by itself. So, you know what I
Automatic.
mean? Yeah, facts. Like, it's just real. But,
That that's
yeah.
that's a good that's a good point. There's something recently that happened. Speaking of like along those same lines of like l- kind of using those skills in different ways. Like with music at this point,
Yeah.
I feel it's like muscle memory. Like
$100%.
I feel very like it's a muscle that's really worked out. Whereas the art stuff is like I'm crawling into it, and there's like a sense of like the same feeling I have um than that I had with music early on, where it's like kind of naive. I
Mhm.
don't know, like I know what I could do with the music stuff and like where prices sit with certain
Mhm. Mhm.
situations,
Mhm.
whereas the art is like a very unknown, unexplored space for me. And like recently, just an example of like how I'm thinking about the art stuff too is like I went to the dentist recently,
Mhm.
and super cool place. It's called Enamel Dentistry in Texas. Great place,
Shout out to the
great
plug.
staff. Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to but like, uh, and this isn't something I would do with the music per se, but it's like hey, these people are like it's like run by young folks, and like the owners are super young and they're super nice. And I was thinking of like, oh, I'll make you guys some art for your offices in return for all the dental work and stuff.
Real.
So it's like I'm envisioning like pamphlets, but I'm not thinking of like I'm thinking more like a trade than a monetary like come
Mhm.
up,
Mhm.
And I find myself I was thinking about that after, and I was like, I don't I don't know if I would do that with music at this point. Like I
Mhm.
think it's a whole different um type of like format, and I have a whole different kind of mentality on that.
For
Whereas like
sure.
something that's a little newer, maybe early on with music, that I mean, if something made sense, but like since I'm still early with this and still developing, I'm using this as like you know a way to build those connections and get something out of it, but more importantly, like build the experience with working with uh, a company, or like with someone that I believe is doing good work to
100%.
a collaboration. And
100%.
yeah, I just want to bring that up because I think like if you have a side hobby or a side passion that you're passionate about, like I think there's ways where you can kind of like use it in a way that will build that skill while simultaneously like yeah, bring value to your personal life,
100%.
to some extent. Yeah.
100%. I think that's a great idea. And that's how it should be though too as well. I agree. Just like
Yeah.
sharing it, you know what I mean? But also collaborating with other people. 'Cause you know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
collabing on a song with somebody, you know what I mean? But it's collabing with the dental spot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I,
it's like
I think I think it's important though. It's like not like walking into a 7-Eleven to go get some free coffee or
no,
something.
exactly, exactly.
That's the other thing is like
It's a
the
proper
yeah.
trade-off where it's like it's a
Yeah.
win-win for both parties, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you
Exactly.
said, it's a different trade. It's interesting because like I've seen that I came across I saw it like on socials of like you know those people that make those different like transition videos and like very
Mm-hmm.
quick like TikTok videos. I saw somebody do that for different businesses. He would just go in and be like, "Hey, do you mind if I like do this for your restaurant and just make this whole video?" Person was like, "Is it gonna cost me?" That's the first everybody's first question. Is it gonna cost me money?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
just like,
Right.
no, no, no. I just want to just do it. But it was truly a win-win. I'm sure like this company, I'm like the example that I saw, like this restaurant. I'm not sure if they had any social posts like this much high
Mm-hmm.
quality and social content like that. But it also gave this guy like an opportunity just to like practice. You know what I mean? His skill and
Right.
another new skill, but also build with somebody. So it's like
Right.
it's a win-win for both parties. They get a piece of content. This person gets to practice, but also add to their resume and build a connection with somebody. So it's like it can
Right.
truly those type of opportunities are I think are it's really important. And honestly, I feel like a lost art. I've like not seen people do that anymore, believe it or not. Because
Yeah.
everyone's more so expecting someone to either pay them or do certain things like that from the jump, even on a new skill. You know what I mean? For me, it's like it makes sense with
Mm-hmm.
something that you're an expert in, 100%. But if
Mm.
it's like a new skill, yo, it makes sense for you to build up that muscle, first.
Yeah.
Um, but again, shout out to somebody that can flip it and make some bread too. But like, I don't know. I definitely think there's something to, just working it out and just learning first.
Yeah. And I feel like you could attest to good things taking time
A
too.
hundred. Oh
Like
yeah,
it,
a hundred
yeah,
percent. Yeah. Uh,
it's not like, yeah, like you said, over like an overnight thing. Like as far as like the education with the music industry, but also
yeah.
personally, like you're not gonna overnight just wake up the next morning and just be a savant at something. You
Yeah.
know,
A
it's like
hundred percent. It takes.
it
It
takes a
takes.
lot of ups and downs to,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Consistency and also just learning yourself more than anything, and just like, cool, this is what I enjoy about this, so this is what I don't. You know what I mean? Just figuring out all the ins and outs for
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
So, yeah, those are,
That's what was good, like really dope working with you too. Because I feel like I told you this at one point, but like I view you as kind of like a shepherd in a certain way, like a shepherd of um my wants and desires. Like
mhm,
there's certain things that I think are kind of like held a little closer, and some things that were like let go, that
mhm,
you kind of helped me understand about myself. And I feel like um I guess for anybody listening, that like we're all gonna have these things, but I think this like utter focus
mhm,
into uh what you do and what you're capable of, I think, and really honing down and investing into that, and going through the times where it feels like you might not be, you know, where you want to be.
yeah,
Um, like really focusing, like writing down what those things are that you want to do, and really, yeah, sitting with those things and marinating on them, and going through those like those painful moments, those painful nights of like, ah, fuck, but I want to do this or that, and
yeah,
it's really hard. Like it almost
yeah.
feels like a sober home a little bit working with you. It's like shit, like I get fucking like the jitters, like, oh, I need to do this, like I'm twitching, and you're like, no, it's okay, like you actually don't, and
yeah.
this is like, remember, like this is why, and I feel like it
I-
was helpful. Not a lot of people have that, so
mm, mm, mm. It,
it's nice.
hey, bro, like it's all love. Like for me, it's just honing in on just yourself, because it's I think that's really just all it is. Like for me, it's just I enjoy help. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just like yo, yeah, there's all these different other things going on and that are possible and that can still very well happen. But it's just like, what about yourself? You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't put yourself as the back burner or the secondary. You know what I mean? You're
Hmm.
primary. You know what I mean? You're yourself. You know what I mean? You should always prioritize yourself.
Hmm.
So which you've been on. You know what I mean? But it's like it just took that focus. You know what I mean? And then again, I appreciate you being patient with me because I know there was a lot of times you're like, bruh, but there's this record and this person and this and that and this, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel you, but like, what's up with that record that you working on that's all you? How's that record coming
That's
along?
that's the staple. I feel you, but yeah, you should get that tattooed
I feel you.
on your signature in your email. That would be kind of hard actually.
Yeah.
I feel you, but dot dot dot. um, no, that's yeah, it's an amazing thing, man. It's tough. It's tough out there. Like although the music space is there's a lot, it's a lot more accessible now to a lot of
Yeah,
different people, whether it's the creation of it or the marketing of it or whatever. Like from
of
every
course.
standpoint, it is just now a little harder to be heard and
Mm,
viewed and it's like it's a crazy flip um that's occurring
mm.
at the moment.
I
But I
agree.
think that
Yeah.
that focus is also
Mm.
like none of that shit really matters
Yep.
if you're just doing your thing.
Correct. And I would say just to add to that as well, it's like doing your thing, not worrying about what other people are doing, and then also just finding your audience. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm sure everyone can, I'm sure someone has come across an artist on Instagram that no one's ever heard, no one they know even follows this artist, and they have millions of followers. You know what I mean? Or just like hundreds of thousands. And it's just like, yo, but that's the beauty of music. People can
Mhm.
find their own audience in the world. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
possible. It's just connecting with them. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, if your audience, they may not be in the US. Even though we're from the US, they may not be in the US. Your core audience may be in South Africa. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They may be in Korea. You know, so it's just like, yo, it's okay, regardless of what the situation is. But it's just about staying true to yourself and then, you know, ignoring everybody else, and then to a degree, and then just like, yo, connect with your people. It's possible. So it's
Yeah.
just finding them. You know.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good. That was a great little combo, man.
Hey man, thank you for
I
having me, bro.
yeah, thank you for taking the time. I know you're out in London. It's probably what 10 o'clock,
Yeah, it's like 9. Okay.
9.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm a little closer. That
yeah, yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Of course,
It's
bro. You know it's on that.
so much love for you, bro,
Same,
and
bro.
I'm so thankful. I waited a little bit to have a few of the episodes come out before I tapped in with you because I want to test the waters before I got the big guns. You know what I mean?
Hey, bro. Nah, I
Yeah.
appreciate you for inviting me on for real. And for having me, man, and just being able to be a part of this. So I remember you were talking about the idea and building it all out. It's been beautiful, for real,
Yeah, thank you, thank
for
you.
real,
Yeah,
bro.
it's been really fun, man. I'm just every time I sit down with somebody, I'm like, wow, I'm so happy that you're my friend. You know.
Nah, real, bro. Everyone feels the exact same way, bro. To be your friend, for real, you're a very genuine person,
It's
for
a
real. And it's very
good
rare,
feeling, man. Oh man,
very real.
good
So
good God. All right, I'll Venmo you after. I
you're
won't forget.
stupid. You're
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, much love to you, bro. I feel like this is I hope people take something away from this one because I do truly feel like you are probably one of the most progressive, forward thinking music advocates, um, both for like you have experience like with the industry, but you're also like pushing the boundaries and like guiding artists in an independent way, which I think I'm a huge fan of. Not only because I'm independent, but because like the longevity of what that truly means,
Mhm.
and we're at a time where we have the tools to be self sufficient now, and it just takes like kind of your mission. I feel like you know your long term goals of helping that education part. We're lacking that quite heavily. Like
Facts.
I've I've been put onto a lot of game from you through you directly, not really even other people, and I already noticed kind of to that point of like it's not gonna happen overnight. It's what we can do and how we can move and do
Hmm.
business and
Hmm.
keep things fair and like there's no real standard technically that
Yeah.
although that term is used a lot. Um, but I notice even in myself when I come across artists, or I am talking with people about their experience with
Mm,
the music industry, I refer to a lot of things that we discuss, and
mm,
like not a lot of them are aware of STEM, or not a lot of them are aware of Song Trust or Sound Exchange.
facts.
So I think it's kind of that, like, that trickle effect of like learning and understanding the importance, and like internalizing the importance, not just like parroting um, like certain keywords, but like really
Yeah,
understanding the
absolutely.
value of it, and then
Absolutely.
and then uh, having conversations with people. And I think that over time, I think it's not a big massive shift, but it's a change in mentality when it comes to certain aspects of the industry. So
100%. I mean, I feel like that shift happens as soon as people get them checks. Then all of a sudden
yeah,
it's like, oh, this
yeah,
is this is why you register. It's like,
right,
yeah, this is
yeah,
yours. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah,
It's always been yours.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's the biggest
yeah,
kicker, though. It's
yeah.
like it's been waiting for you.
Right,
That's
right,
literally it. So,
right.
nah, man, you're absolutely right, though, across the board. And bro, I appreciate you even just being open to hear my different crazy ideas. And I know it's also challenging that I don't say no. I mean, I do say no a lot, it's a lot of different things, but it's
Yeah,
just,
you do.
but it's just like, yeah, I know I do to a degree, but it's just like, it's always in love, believe it or
Yeah,
not, like,
yeah.
but just like, yo, this is just a different way of going about things and just, you know, pushing the envelope. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
to agree to whatever everybody else believes is standard. We can make
Mm-hmm.
our own, and that's just what we believe is the case, and move forward that way.
Yes,
So,
sir.
nah, man, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you again.
Yeah, good shit, man. Good shit. Much love, and thanks for hopping on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, bro.